Towards the end of the 19th century, archaeologists discovered hundreds of stone tombs on a chain of islands off the coast of Greece. Although many were empty, some contained skeletal remains surrounded by objects. Among them, figurines, predominantly female, carved from pure marble. They were initially dismissed as ugly and thought to be the naive creations of a primitive culture. As it turns out, they were the remnants of a civilization that was both more ancient and more sophisticated than had been imagined. Between Greece and Turkey lies the expanse of the Aegean Sea, which is home to a cluster of islands known today as the Cyclades. Roughly 30 of its main islands are inhabited today, some of which have been continuously inhabited by humans for well over 5,000 years now. The climate here is dry and mild, with strong winds that blow in mostly during the summer months. Though they share similarities with one another, each island has its own unique characteristics. Take Milos, for instance, which sits on a massive volcanic arc that was produced by a collision of tectonic plates starting at around 5 million years ago. Its distinctive landscapes and unique geological features are evidence of its volcanic origins. Milos attracted the interest of Stone Age visitors as early as 13,000 BC, thanks to its rich deposits of obsidian, a black volcanic glass created by the rapid cooling of lava. This raw material was fashioned into tools and weapons with razor-sharp edges. One might say that the elegant obsidian blades are the first distinctly man-made form to emerge from the islands, a most useful kind of sculpture that changed the way of life for the earliest known explorers of the Cyclades. After the discovery of obsidian on Milos, a span of roughly 8,000 years passes until the first settlements begin to emerge on the islands. Northeast of Milos, nestled between the island of Paros and Antiparos, is a tiny landmass called Saliagos. A very important find, in fact the earliest known Cycladic figurine, was discovered here in the 1960s by archaeologists John Davies Evans and Colin Renfrew. At just over 2 inches tall, she's affectionately referred to as the Fat Lady of Saliagos, and dates to roughly 5000 BC, providing evidence for the earliest known settlement in the Cyclades. Here's a more complete figurine, dating from roughly the same period. Compare this form to the more simplified, abstract design of the figure on the right, known as a violin figure, which was also among the finds at Saliagos. A rather mysterious gap of some 2,000 years passes, until the tradition of stone sculpture reappears in the Cyclades at 3,300 BC. This new phase of sculpture is marked by experimentation. The figures are often shown standing, some with exceedingly long necks. Their faces often contain carved details, perhaps with the help of obsidian tools. At the end of the phase, details begin to disappear. Violin figures are also produced during this time, similar to their distant ancestors at Saliagos. A variety of silhouettes proliferates over the course of 600 years, until the islanders seem to land upon a final form. At 2700 BC, Cycladic culture enters its mature phase, symbolized by the powerful canonical figure, also known as the folded arm figurine. They're called canonical figures because of the strict formula that would be used over the next 400 years. This phase is characterized by a sense of unity, precision, and confidence. With only a few exceptions, their slightly upturned faces lack any carved detail except for the nose. They're almost always depicted female, arms folded across the belly, right arm resting beneath the left. The gender is often indicated with a triangle. The legs are no longer separately carved. Instead, a line is used to separate them, making them less prone to breakage. The feet point down, extending the elegant line of the body. The backside also features incised details, and the figure's profiles are strikingly slim. The sizes of the figures vary. Most are modest and under 12 inches. Some reach twice that size. The largest ever discovered is just under 5 feet tall, making it one of the first monumental sculptures to be produced in the world. Many figures during this period contain traces of pigment that indicated details such as the eyes, mouth, or hair. Some also show tattoo-like markings across the face and body. Swollen bellies on certain figurines seem to indicate pregnancy, fertility, and new life. Were these figurines connected to religious rites or certain celebrations? Do they represent deities or everyday people? Why were hundreds of figures deliberately broken and their fragments deposited together on the island of Keros? And why do the vast majority of the pieces not fit together? In addition to the figurines, rounded forms known as frying pans were also discovered. Some contain symbols of the sun, along with female genitalia, which supports the theory of a religion in which the sun was associated with the woman's power to give life. This one shows a ship navigating the open sea. The ship has a long prow with a fish symbol mounted on top. Oars or paddles are visible, and the waves are depicted geometrically, with a series of interlocking concentric circles. The temperament of the sea changes swiftly, and knowing how to properly navigate it was crucial to the development of Cycladic culture. A recent theory suggests they were used as astronomical calendars based on the motion of the sun, the moon, and especially the planet Venus. It's thought that the days were tracked by making marks in the terracotta, which would allow them to predict a woman's pregnancy and pattern their lives in harmony with the cosmos. When it comes to Cycladic culture, there are certainly more questions than answers. But it's often what lies just beyond our grasp that holds the greatest fascination, and produces in us that impulse to imagine and to explore. In this way, perhaps we're not so different from those adventurous prehistoric islanders who thrived in the Aegean over 4,000 years ago.